You know, when you schedule a medical physical, there's a certain expectation of like precision, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like you expect the doctor to take your blood pressure, maybe draw some blood, run an EKG. You want actual numbers.
Right, hard data.
Exactly, hard data about your actual internal health. So imagine if your doctor just, I don't know, walked into the waiting room, waved at you from like 20 feet away, said, "Hey, you look great," and then just handed you a bill.
You'd be absolutely
You'd
furious.
feel completely scammed.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous scenario to picture because, well, observation isn't a diagnosis,
Right.
Looking at someone from across the room tells you absolutely nothing about whether their cholesterol is dangerously high or if their blood sugar is spiking.
And yet, as summer approaches, millions of homeowners are about to accept that exact same waiting room wave for the most expensive critical appliance in their entire house.
Yeah, the air conditioner.
Exactly. I'm talking about that $49 AC tune-up coupon that probably just showed up in your mailbox.
We all get them.
We do. So, should you bite on that deal, or are you just opening your front door to an incredibly costly sales pitch disguised as maintenance? That is our mission today.
And it's an important one.
It really is. We want to help you decode this massive price gap in AC maintenance so you can protect your wallet, avoid a catastrophic breakdown on a 100-degree day, and know exactly what you were paying for when a technician pulls into your driveway.
Which is just vital, considering the sheer financial stakes involved in cooling a home today. I mean, a central air system is a major asset.
Huge.
And the way it's treated in its first few years basically dictates its entire lifespan.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because I was looking through our sources for this deep dive, and I came across an official consumer article from Trane.
Oh, the manufacturer, right?
Yeah, the people who actually manufacture these massive machines. And they casually dropped a number that made me completely rethink this whole industry.
What was the number?
So they stated that the official national range for a legitimate residential AC tune-up is between $120 on the low end and $350 on the high end.
Wow. Yeah, that spread is revealing in itself. But the floor, that $120 minute, that is the number we really need to focus on here.
And that is exactly where I have to push back immediately. If the official manufacturer says the absolute bare minimum cost to tune up their machine is $120, what on earth is actually happening during a $49 visit?
Right. It goes right back to that doctor waving at you.
Exactly. Like, how is it even economically possible for a business to roll the truck to your house for $49?
Well, to understand that, you really have to strip away the idea of maintenance entirely.
Wait, really?
Yeah. You aren't buying maintenance. For $49, you're buying a technician in a truck for exactly 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
That is the absolute maximum amount of time they can spend at your property before the company starts losing money.
20 minutes to service a complex, multi-$1,000 central air system? That's insane.
It is, but that's the reality. They pull up to your unit, they hose off the outdoor condenser coil with, just regular tap water from your garden hose.
Just water.
Just water. Then they maybe hook up a gauge to take a quick suction pressure reading, and they eyeball the contactor, and then they check a box on a clipboard that says, system operating normally.
Wait, pause for a second. What is a contactor? Are we talking about a switch?
Basically, yeah. It's the heavy-duty electrical relay that slams shut to send high-voltage power to your compressor.
Okay.
And over time, the metal points on that switch can get pitted and burned from the electrical arcsing.
That makes sense.
But you cannot truly assess its health just by glancing at it. You have to actually measure the electrical resistance across those points with a multimeter.
Which takes time.
Right, and a 20-minute visit just does not allow time for multimeters.
So it really is just an elaborate visual check.
It is. The open secret of the trade, and our 45-year HVAC veteran source was incredibly candid about this, is that this cheap visit is purely a lead generation funnel.
A funnel.
Yeah. To break even on a $49 special, that technician has to do 6 or 7 of these calls every single day.
That's exhausting.
It is. And the entire goal is just to get a technician into your home so they can find a reason to hand you a $400 quote for extra work. It isn't maintenance. It's a subsidized sales call masquerading as a tune-up.
Wow. So it's literal bait.
Exactly.
That explains the math perfectly. But I guess that brings us to the obvious next question. If the $49 visit is just a subsidized sales pitch, what is actually happening when you pay, say, $229 for the premium tune-up?
Well, the difference fundamentally comes down to 2 things. time, and tools.
Okay.
A premium tune-up buys you a technician who's scheduled to spend 60 to 90 minutes dismantling and really probing your system.
Yeah, reading through the technical standards from that trade publication, HVAC Today, the sheer volume of work in a real tune-up is just staggering.
It's a lot.
Like outside at the condenser, they aren't just spraying it with a garden hose. They're washing the coils with actual chemical coil cleaner.
Which is totally necessary because dirt and pollen act as like an insulating blanket on those coils.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and if the heat can't escape, the compressor runs hotter and much harder.
Right. And they're also testing the fan blade for balance. They're measuring the exact amp draw on the compressor. And they're testing the run capacitor with a specialized meter.
Yes, the capacitor is huge.
And I see this term microfarads used a lot when talking about capacitors in these sources. What does that actually mean?
So a microfarad is simply the unit of measurement for electrical capacitance. Basically, it's how much of a charge that capacitor can hold.
Okay.
Think of the capacitor like a powerful battery that gives your compressor the massive jolt of energy it needs to start spinning.
Got it.
When a technician tests it, they are measuring those microfarads to see if the part is still holding its rated charge or if it's, secretly dying.
But that's just the outside unit, right? The notes from our veteran contractor spend just as much time talking about the indoor air handle.
Oh, absolutely. The indoor unit is just as critical.
Yeah, up in the attic or down in the basement, they're actually pulling the blower door off. They inspect the blower wheel for dust loading and vacuum it out. They check the indoor evaporator coil for biological growth.
Which you do not want breathing into your house.
Gross, right. And they test the safety float switches to make sure a clogged condensation drain won't, flood your ceiling and ruin your drywall.
Yeah. And then there's the refrigerant side, which honestly requires the most technical precision.
I noticed this in the HVAC Today standards. They talk about measuring superheat and subcool.
Right.
I always assumed a technician just, felt the copper pipe to see if it was cold or maybe just looked at the pressure gauge. What exactly are superheat and subcool?
It's a way to prove exactly how much of the refrigerant in your system is in a liquid state and how much is in a vapor state.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, a technician takes exact temperature readings of the copper pipes and compares them to the pressure of the refrigerant inside those pipes.
Okay, math.
A lot of math. They then cross-reference those numbers against the manufacturer's specific target charts for that exact model, adjusting for the current indoor and outdoor ambient temperatures.
What's fascinating here is the complete shift from observation to rigorous quantification.
Yes.
Like, the $49 visit leaves you with a piece of paper full of check marks. A real tune-up leaves you with a printed report featuring 30 specific numerical readings. You're proving the system's health with data rather than just guessing.
That is the core distinction right there.
Yeah.
But having those numbers is only valuable if you understand what happens when they go wrong.
Right.
Missing just one of those abstract measurements sets off a massive, incredibly expensive chain reaction.
Let's make this real for a second. Connect the dots for me. What does missing a microfarad reading on a capacitor actually mean for my bank account?
Let's walk through that exact scenario. The run capacitor on your residential AC has a typical lifespan of, say, 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
When it starts to weaken, it does not just fail immediately with a pop. It weakens silently over time.
Oh, wait, if it's like a battery and it's dying, wouldn't the system just refuse to turn on? Like trying to start a car with a dead battery?
You'd hope so, but
Well,
no. No, the thermostat inside your house is still calling for cooling. The contactor slams shut, sending power to the compressor.
Okay.
The compressor tries to start, but without that extra kick of stored energy from a healthy capacitor, the heavy internal motor cannot easily get spinning.
So what does it do?
It draws extra electrical amps from your house to force itself to start. And extra amps equal extra heat inside the compressor's copper windings.
So the machine is still cooling the house, but it's quietly cooking itself to death.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes. If you let that run for a year, you are silently burning up the lifespan of your compressor.
Wow.
A real tune-up catches that. A technician with a multimeter sees the microfarad number is dipping below the safe threshold. They replace a $20 part right then and there.
And what does that cost?
It's maybe a $200 service call total.
And if I skip the real tune-up and just went with the guy who checked a box?
Well, that weak capacitor finally gives out entirely, usually on a 100-degree Tuesday in late July when the system is working its hardest.
Of course, worst timing possible.
Always. The compressor tries to start with zero help, the internal motor locks up because it can't overcome the physical resistance.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and this causes it to draw what are called lock rotor amps, massive surge of electricity. It violently overheats, trips your circuit breaker, and the copper windings completely melt.
That sounds like a fatal blow.
It is fatal. You call for emergency service, sweating in your living room, and the technician tells you the compressor is shorted to ground. Yeah. A new compressor, plus the labor to weld it in on an older system, is going to run you between $1,800 and $2,800.
That is awful.
And honestly, it makes zero financial sense to put a brand new compressor into a 12-year-old condenser unit.
Right, you just replace the whole thing.
Exactly. So that $20 missed part just forced you into an $8,000 to $14,000 total system replacement.
All because someone didn't use a meter to check a $20 part.
Yep.
Okay, so that's the electrical side. The veteran contractor also warned heavily about refrigerant leaks.
Very common issue.
Let's say my system has a tiny, invisible leak and is running like 10% low on refrigerant. I wouldn't notice that, right? My house would still feel perfectly cold.
Your house will still reach the target temperature, yes. But a system running 10% low on refrigerant has to use 20% more electricity to deliver that same amount of cooling.
20% more.
Yeah, it has to run longer cycles.
I thought the refrigerant just cooled the air blowing into the house. Why does a tiny leak make the physical machine struggle so much?
Because the cold refrigerant returning from the inside of your house actually flows over the compressor motor to keep it cool.
Oh.
Yeah, it's literally the radiator fluid for the machine itself.
Yeah.
If you're low on refrigerant, you're depriving the motor of its only cooling source. It runs incredibly hot.
So my electric bill is quietly creeping up every month, and the machine is literally overheating.
Precisely. Now, a legitimate tune-up in May catches that low charge by looking at the superheat and subcool numbers.
Because they actually measure it.
Right. They see the numbers don't match the manufacturer's chart. The technician finds the leak, maybe tightens a valve or brazes a tiny pinhole, and fixes it for $300 to $600. Disaster averted.
And if I ignore it, what happens by August?
That 10% leak in May becomes a 30% leak by August. The compressor loses its ability to cool itself entirely.
Oh, God.
The internal oil breaks down from the extreme heat. The mechanical parts grind together. It seizes up, and we are back to that exact same nightmare scenario. An $1,800 repair or a massive system replacement.
So we have the silent capacitor failure and the invisible leak. But I want to pivot to the third failure mode because reading the HVAC Today piece, there's this whole section on ductwork that felt like it belonged in an engineering textbook.
Oh, you mean static pressure?
Yes. They kept
Yeah.
talking about static pressure. What is that?
This is a concept almost nobody outside the trade truly understands. Every air handler, the indoor unit blowing the air, is designed with a maximum external static pressure specification.
Okay.
It's a measurement of resistance, usually maxing out around 0.5 inches of water column.
Okay. What does resistance actually mean for the machine in plain English?
Think of your blower motor like a marathon runner. Under normal conditions, they're breathing easily. But if your duct system is undersized, or if you use one of those ultra-thick allergen filters that restrict airflow, or if your evaporator coil is clogged with a blanket of dust, it's like forcing that marathon runner to breathe through a cocktail straw.
Oh, wow. That's a great analogy.
The static pressure of the resistance rises way above that 0.5 limit.
The motor is suffocating.
It is pulling against a wall of resistance. The motor has to work much, much harder to push the air through the house.
Which means more heat.
Always more heat. It runs incredibly hot.
Yeah.
This leads to worse air distribution, hot and cold spots in the house, and higher humidity inside because the air is moving too fast across the cooling coil to draw off its moisture.
And the motor itself.
Eventually, the blower motor simply burns out 5 years early.
And there is zero chance a $49 visit is catching a suffocating motor.
Never. A real technician uses a specialized tool called a manometer to measure the static pressure across the air handler.
A manometer?
Yeah. If it's too high, they investigate the cause. Maybe you need a return air duct upgrade, or maybe the coil just needs a deep chemical clean. Without that specific measurement, you're just living with a hot master bedroom and a motor that is dying a premature death.
Every single one of these failure modes is completely preventable.
100%.
And every single one costs 10 to 20 times more if you skip the real maintenance.
Absolutely.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Because knowing these catastrophic risks fundamentally changes the financial calculus. Let's look at the actual lifetime math of cheaping out versus investing in preventative care.
I love this part. The long-term math is incredibly clarifying. It removes all the emotion from the decision.
Let's run the numbers. Say you do the $49 visit every year for 10 years. That is $490.
Right.
But because they aren't measuring anything, they miss a weak capacitor in year 8. The compressor smokes, and you are forced to replace the entire system for $9,000.
Which happens all the time.
Your total 10-year cost, $9,490. Not to mention the sheer misery of spending 4 days in the sweltering heat waiting for an installation crew to fit you into their schedule.
And if you take the other route,
You pay for the real, comprehensive $229 tune-up every single year for 10 years. That is $2,290.
okay.
But because they caught the capacitor early and they monitored the static pressure, your system lives its full 18-year lifespan. It is fundamentally cheaper to pay for the premium maintenance. You are saving over $7,000 in that scenario.
It's a massive return on investment.
But I saw something in the notes from our veteran contractor that makes the math even better. Let's talk about PMAs, preventative maintenance agreements.
Ah, yes, PMAs.
He offers a bundled plan for $138 a year. That is cheaper than a single standalone premium tune-up. Why would a business intentionally offer their premium service for less money?
It looks like a discount, but it's actually a brilliant economic strategy for the HVAC company. It's all about seasonal risk mitigation.
Explain that. What does seasonal risk mitigation mean here?
Well, think about the business model of an HVAC company. In July or January, during extreme weather, their phones are ringing off the hook with emergency repairs.
Right, everyone's breaking down.
Exactly. They are making maximum profit. But during the shoulder seasons, like April and October, the weather is mild. Nobody is calling.
Oh, I see.
They have a building full of highly paid technicians with no work to do, which costs them money.
So they sell these annual plans to give themselves guaranteed work during the slow months?
Exactly. When you buy a PMA, you're essentially buying their off-season labor at a massive discount.
That's so smart.
They get to keep their technicians busy and earning a wage in April, and in return, you get the premium measured tune-up for a fraction of the midsummer price.
Win-win.
It really is. Plus, they usually throw in perks like priority scheduling if something does break, and they waive the emergency dispatch fees.
So if you're going to invest in maintenance, buying off-season labor through a bundled plan is just an incredible life hack.
It really is. Now, there are higher tier plans too. Some companies offer like a $360 all-inclusive version that covers parts and labor for any breakdown. But that basic low-cost plan covers 80% of households perfectly.
Okay, I love the economics of that. But it brings up a very real concern for you, the homeowner.
Okay.
Even if you agree to pay for a premium tune-up or you buy into one of these off-season PMAs, a technician is still standing in your basement holding a clipboard. How do you know you aren't being sold snake oil?
That is the perfect question to ask.
How do you confidently say no when they start offering add-ons?
Because upsells absolutely happen even during premium maintenance visits. The trick is separating what legitimately protects your asset from what is pure profit margin for the contractor.
Give me the breakdown. What is worth the money and what should I reject?
The good upsells are usually protective accessories. For instance, a $300 surge protector installed on your outside unit.
A surge protector for an AC.
Yeah, if you have a modern, high-efficiency HVAC system, it is packed with delicate, expensive circuit boards. Protecting a $14,000 machine from lightning strikes or power grid fluctuations is incredibly smart.
That makes total sense. What else?
Another valid add-on is a UV light system, especially if you live in a highly humid climate like Oklahoma or Florida.
Okay.
Installing a UV light inside the dark, wet coil cabinet has real, proven merit for preventing biological growth that can clog the system and ruin your indoor air quality.
Okay, so surge protectors and UV lights have merit. What about the bad upsells?
Be very wary of something called a hard start kit.
A hard start kit. What is that? It sounds like something for a car engine.
It acts a lot like jumper cables, actually. It's an extra capacitor and a relay designed to give an aging compressor a massive jolt of electricity to help it get going.
Sounds useful if it's old.
If you have a failing compressor, it can buy you a little time.
Yeah.
But you will often hear a technician suggest adding a hard start kit to a relatively new system that already has a perfectly healthy run capacitor.
Oh, I see.
In that scenario, it is completely unnecessary. It is pure margin for the company. Always ask them to explain the specific mathematical reason for the add-on, backed up by the numbers they just measured.
But there's one upsell that is an absolute non-negotiable red flag, right? The veteran contractor called it the golden rule of refrigerant.
Yes, this is a critical piece of knowledge for any homeowner.
Yeah.
Refrigerant does not get used up.
It doesn't.
No. An air conditioner is a closed, sealed loop. It isn't like putting gasoline in your car, and it does not evaporate over time like water in a bird bath.
So if a technician tells you that you are a little low and you just need a quick top
No,
load,
that's it. Just run.
seriously.
Seriously. If the system is low on refrigerant, it means there's a physical hole in the copper piping and it leaked out.
Oh,
If a technician suggests a top off without hunting down that leak and giving you a quote to permanently repair the metal, they are scamming you.
that's wild.
You're buying into a fraudulent yearly service plan where you pay them to pump incredibly expensive refrigerant into a leaking system every single summer, only for it to vent into the atmosphere by fall. A reputable, ethical shop hunts the leak.
That is a fantastic rule to live by. Speaking of finding complex issues, I saw a passing mention in the HVAC Today piece about something called performance testing. Is that a different level of tune-up?
It's a step beyond maintenance. It is essentially diagnostic forensics.
Forensics.
Yeah. If a standard premium tune-up flags a major unexplainable issue like wildly high static pressure that won't come down or severe unmanageable humidity in the house despite the AC running leak systems, they can bring in specialized equipment.
Like what?
We're talking about duct leakage pressurization tests or thermal moisture mapping.
Is that something the average homeowner needs to budget for?
Generally, no. That is higher-end testing, usually running between $400 and $1,200. Most standard homes will never require it.
Good to know.
Yeah, it exists specifically to solve stubborn, complex comfort issues that a standard tune-up uncovers but cannot fix.
Okay, so let's pull all of this together. We started by asking a very simple question. Should you bite on that $49 coupon in your mailbox?
And the answer?
The answer, distilled directly from the unfiltered truth of our 45-year HVAC veteran, is pretty definitive.
Extremely definitive. The $49 visit is bait.
The true difference between that bait and a real tune-up comes down to one simple thing: the paperwork.
Yes.
If the technician packs up his tools, knocks on your door, and does not hand you a printed report with specific numerical measurements for everything we discussed today, the microfarads of the capacitor, the superheat and subcool of the refrigerant, the static pressure of the ductwork, then you did not get a real tune-up.
You got a 20-minute visual inspection.
Exactly. But now you have the playbook. Demand the numbers, read the report. Point to a reading on that page and ask your technician to explain exactly what it means for the health of the machine.
Knowledge is power here.
It really is. If you invest in the real maintenance, or better yet, buy their off-season labor through a bundled plan, the math works massively in your favor.
Absolutely.
You save thousands of dollars, and you never have to spend a 100-degree afternoon praying for an emergency repair van to show up.
It's a fundamental shift in how you view your house. You're moving from reacting to expensive emergencies to actively managing the health of your home's infrastructure.
I love that.
And, connecting this to the bigger picture raises a really fascinating question to ponder.
What's that?
Well, if the HVAC industry has so seamlessly normalized selling these 20-minute lead generation sales pitches masquerading as $49 maintenance,
Yeah.
what other routine household services are doing the exact same thing?
Oh, wow. I didn't even thought about that.
Think about it. Plumbing inspections, garage door checkups, seasonal pest control. How many of those cheap, subsidized loss leader tactics are designed using the exact same playbook, simply to manufacture expensive emergencies right inside your home?
That completely changes how you look at the promotional mail.
Doesn't it?
The next time you open your mailbox and see a price for a service that looks mathematically too good to be true, you really have to ask yourself, is this a real diagnosis, or is the doctor just waving at you from the waiting room?